Hey, how you doing? This
Hey,
is
everybody.
Welcome to John's Long Box. It's clobbering time. It's Friday night. Sorry about the time. Until we just had a meeting at work today that the schedule's probably going to stay into effect until the week before Christmas.
Oh,
So,
gosh.
there you go. I mean, it's good and it's bad, Marcus.
The week before Christmas. Good Lord.
I mean, it's extra money, and I get to drive right to the job. Like I don't have to deal with trains and parking and stuff like that. Like I pull right up to the job site. That is awesome. And it's quiet. We are the only ones. So there's 12 guys working in a gigantic, this is the biggest terminal in New York, I think. And there's only 12 of us working. So it's like I could play my music and, there's nobody there. There's no there's no Port Authority guys busting your balls. It's actually pleasant, but I don't see anybody. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'm just going to go to work. I'm not going to do anything. And then I come home and I'm starting to stay up later and later and sleep later. So there you go. But I keep telling myself,
I heard you talking about that.
I could do anything for 6 months. You know what I mean? But I miss RJ.
Well, it's what you got to do. There's nothing that you could do about it. You just got to do it.
Well, you can request back for the other shift, but I don't want to be a quitter. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's true. But if you make extra money, it might be it's worthwhile. It's at least, I know phone company was, it was time and a quarter, and maybe for you it's time and a half. I don't know.
Yeah, it's I can't complain. Like Zach said, good to earn money. Yep. Hell, y'all, hope you're having a blessed day. And let's talk about accounting news first before we start with It's Clobbering Time. So here at John's Long Box, my comics are being printed as we speak. So these are what's called proofs. You can see like they come with stickers on them that if you peel these stickers off, it just rips everything off. They do it on purpose. So these are proofs. So what it is you pay an extra amount of money and they print it right away and send it to you. First, they send you a digital file for those of you who are thinking about making comics. And then you approve the digital file. If there's nothing egregiously wrong with the digital file, you hit the proof, and like they express mail up. So here, I call this the Josh out, and it came out perfect. So the proof looks really good. There's a couple of little nitpicks that I wish I fixed, and I think next time when I get the low resolution, I'm gonna print it out on my printer and treat it. Like, because when I see stuff on file, like it's not the same as in your hand for me. But I'm no typos that I spotted. Last issue had 3 typos. No typos, but there's a couple of little nitpicks that I wish I had picked up. But you guys tell me if it makes it. But this is the Josh Howard cover. You flip it over, the Jose Garcia cover. And the flip worked. I read the comic cover to cover twice. This is the cosplay cover. This is the super rare one. I think I printed only 50 of these. And then Crenshaw as the patriarch.
This is so hard.
And then this is the standard cover.
Oh, that's better.
So this is Renzo drawing on the front, Renzo drawing on the back. And
nice.
I'm real excited. It's a lot of fun. Like you open it up, there's an ad right there. I don't want to spoil it, but a letters page. Try to make it look like an old letters page. I'm real proud of this. We got a merchandise ad and then Green Army Men ad. You'll see. It's a lot of fun. So let's see. Nice. First of the first editions. Yeah, these are the proofs. I have the proofs for my first issue too. I wonder what I'm going to do with them. Auction them off, sell them. I don't know. I got a few recommendations for the best road. Well, Tony, you going to come in? That guy, the patriarch, I don't buy it. Crenshaw, yeah, I know. Who would ever believe that he was?
Crenshaw should come in. Come on in. Oh, maybe I should put the link in the chat, and that would help. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I usually do that. As a matter of fact.
There you go. So if anybody wants to come in, remember, if I don't know who you are, you got to have a camera that just cuts down on the shenanigans.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of my camera. That's it. I want to be incognito.
He just doesn't want to wear pants. I know, Marcus.
I wear shorts.
So a little bit of a channel gossip. So the Patriarch #1 is the next project that I'm going to do. Renzo's reading the script right now. He's finishing up the last 2 pages for Punchline, the 12 issues, the 12 pages that's going to be in Punchline Annual #1, Bill Williams comic, and then he's going right to work on the Patriarch. So I asked him, it's a 45-page story. When do you think you're going to be done? And he said to me, "Oh, I'll be done next year." So what does that mean?
January.
You see, I'm the only one who thought it meant a year from now. So
no, I think it means January. Well, a couple of things factor in. I don't think Renzo takes 12 months to do anything. I think
right. So I was like,
I think this is a couple of months.
I was like, okay. I said,
kids,
so he said next year. So I was like, okay. So I was talking to Oscar and Tonic Mole and a couple of people that are doing other secret projects. I was like, well, Renzo's not going to be done for a year. So do you think, we could, you guys could, up your speed? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. So then Oscar, who's good friends with Renzo, was like, why is John saying it's going to take you a year? And Renzo's like, no, it's not. I'll be done in January.
We'll see.
So he calls me. He's like, John, are you mad at me? I'm like, no. He goes, well, I said, you said you were going to be next year.
Well,
he goes, John, January is next year. I was like,
yeah, that's how I feel. It doesn't. Well, 45 pages is a lot of pages for me. Like, that's inconceivable because I do 10 tentpole stories in most of my lifetime. But I know how you work with Renzo, and Renzo just doesn't do your work; he does some other work too.
Right. That's what
he must be really fast, and he must have most of the days to do it. And I can't assume that would be any later than February for you. I mean, he likes working with you.
Yeah. So Renzo said that he's done with all of his obligations, and because he was working with a bunch of people for the past 2 years, but he's done with. He goes, but right now, he goes, I have a clear. It's just your comic for the. So I was like, really? You could be done. So he said early next year.
I'm jealous of Renzo. So
Yeah, but he spends all day doing that. That's his full-time job.
I have this awful job I have to work on instead. A real job. I'm like, not a real job. That's a real job too. But you know what I mean.
So Renzo. So we could possibly be kicking off Patriarch #1 a lot earlier than thought. And then I messaged everybody else. I was like,
slow down.
Renzo will be done soon. So don't kill yourself. But
slow down. That's
I got one secret project that part of the deal is I'm allowed to say that I have a secret project, but I'm not allowed to say who it is, what it is, or whatever until he's done. Because I gave it away. It's a man that I'm working with. He just wants to announce it, do the campaign, and then ship as soon as it's done.
Well, that's difficult for you. He's really asking a lot.
Well, I know. I want to spoil it so bad. and Oscar is just he's finishing up some stuff for Aaron Sparrow, and then he's gonna get right on Eddie is Doomed.
Nice.
And Tonic Mole is finishing up. He's got 3 comics that he's finishing up. So Oscar's gonna do his portions, and then so that book is half Oscar. Half Tonic Mole. So a lot of stuff is going on. I potentially have a lot of stuff. The Patriarch is good. So what we're gonna do is Renzo's making one more poster for the Santa Claus. I'm making 3 posters, and I'm just timing releasing them. And then he's gonna do one more poster, and then he's gonna jump into the Patriarch. And then as soon as he's done with the Patriarch, Heroic Tales 3s is already done, and both stories I want Renzo to draw. So he's working on that. And then if your story, whoever's done with anything that they're working on,
well,
will be in Heroic Tales 4.
Full disclosure, I have to do a piece for Mythic Americas.
Yeah.
And then but I know you don't mind. Maybe I'll
have fun while drawing.
Get back to the other thing in a bit.
Right. I don't want you to resent drawing it. You know what I mean? I want if you
I
need
like to do it. It's good for my mental health.
Right. What you say? Drawing
mental health is an issue in this sphere, but it's good for my mental health to draw.
Oh, okay. I don't want to rush anybody. Luke's
that's good. Thank you.
Luke is doing something. You're doing something. The secret guy's doing something. Fabrizio Aiello, he's going to start working on something as soon as he's done with Horace H. Hoover 4.
Yeah. I'm going to order that.
Arkham is drawing something. Arkham is a couple of pages in. I got Stipley.
How's he doing? You said he had his dad.
I don't know. I don't think he'll get mad, but he had a death in the family. Arkham.
You told me, yeah.
I
saw you stream with him quick, but
Yeah, he had to drive across the country, so
man.
he's incommunicado at the moment. He's having a rough time.
I'm sorry about that.
It seems like a lot of people have been having deaths in the family. So I got a notification today. I woke up that my comic is being printed. So I don't know if it'll be at my house next week or the week after, but that's the goal. And coincidentally, I got the proofs for Heroic Tales #1 on October 23rd, and I got the proofs for Heroic Tales #2 on October 23rd. So
October,
that's funny. So I'm just hoping I could, but that was with Renzo with a lot of commitments. So he was drawn like an octopus, drawing this guy, that guy. Such
you can only wish.
Yeah. Condolences. So I said,
big month. It's my birthday next Wednesday. We have people coming in.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I'll make next week's. We'll see if I can make next week. There's somebody who will be sleeping in this room, so I might not be able to make next week's show. We'll see. I'll let you know. Okay. Because my son's coming in from Texas, and my mother-in-law's coming in. Oh, that's good.
That's good. Good to see family. Yeah. So that's all the long box news. I've been trying to pitch ideas to Matt Bauer, and he didn't like my last couple ideas, but I pitched him another idea. I literally had he said what he wanted to draw, because he was streaming, and I was in a work closet with all pipes and everything behind me. I just turned on the camera and he liked all the piping and stuff like that. So he's like, can we do that? So I was like, how do I speak of the devil? Here's Matt right here. Hey, Matt, if you want to come in, it's an open invite. It's an open invite. So I was like trying to pitch ideas so I don't want to say what it is yet, because I just have a setting. I don't have a story yet. And Matt liked that story. We've been talking back and forth about how to refine it. So that'll be fun. It's not going to be set in my regular continuity, because it's more akin to like heavy metal, like old crazy sci-fi. But anyway, how you doing, Tony? How's everything? How's Albuquerque?
Fine, sir. It's Albuquerque's the Wild West, like it always is. And happy early birthday to you, Marcus.
Thank you. It's a big one. I'm older than John, believe it or not. So it's 60.
Oh, you don't look it, man.
Oh, people keep telling me that. I feel it, but I appreciate that. I really do.
Good. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. And that's nice that your family's coming in.
We wish I kept my other son in, but he's way out in California. It's hard to get. He's so busy, He's all over the world.
It was my wife's birthday on Wednesday, so tomorrow we're celebrating, because with this schedule, she has to work.
Today's my mother's birthday. She passed 20 years ago, but today is my mother's birthday.
So tomorrow we're gonna go to her favorite Indian place. So,
nice.
Yeah. So tomorrow I gotta wake up, get a haircut, gotta get my car washed because it's disgusting. I think the birds use my car as target practice. Out here.
Life in the suburbs, John.
Yeah, welcome to the suburbs is right. Well, you know what? When I lived in Queens, it was bad because
there's trees in Queens.
The people forget there's trees in Queens, and there
are trees in Queens. Queens is kind of the suburbs too.
Yeah, and where I lived, it wasn't that bad. It was like a nice parky atmosphere. Like there was trees everywhere. So anyway, this has nothing to do with anything. Well, Tony, is it still hot in Albuquerque?
No, actually, fall came in like a lion. It's kind of getting cold, and it was raining on and off today, so very cold rain. Oh, very much.
It's raining, because I remember that when I lived in Albuquerque, it seemed like it only rained in August. And that it was like monsoons, and that was when like they had put up those warnings, stay away from the arroyos and everything like that. Ditches are deadly.
Yeah, the ditch witch. Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, in Albuquerque, like if you've seen Breaking Bad, where they parked the van and they were making the drugs in the, they call it a high desert, but there's, little valleys, and what they are? They're dry riverbeds. So people will go in them, and all of a sudden there'll be a flash flood, like it'll rain miles away in the mountains, and you don't even know it's raining in the mountains until you hear it. It happens so fast. Every year you hear about kids getting drowned in these.
Unfortunately,
the English word is ditches. So there's signs, ditches are deadly. And then there was a girl punk band called Bitches Are Deadly. which was kind of funny. But that's Albuquerque. Yep. Flash floods. So anything anybody want to talk about while we're waiting for people to filter in?
How do you think the mayoral race is going there, John? What do you think?
Oh, Marcus, you were just talking about he took the
Oh yeah, so I was just saw that on my Twitter. Well, I follow New York Knicks. I'm John's on Sportsman, but I am. He knows who they are though, because that's ubiquitous city team is the New York Knicks. And Zoran Montami tries to use the New York Knicks logo, and it says New York Zoran. And the Knicks actually asked him, sent him a cease and desist order. This guy is the most, from the outside, who used to live 20 minutes from New York, in New York City, is the most hated guy who's going to win the mayoral race I've ever heard of.
I saw a picture of him the other day.
But he's going to be the mayor.
I saw a picture of him the other day on a subway eating a burrito, I think, with silverware.
He's a disaster. And the problem is, and I saw your tweet about this, John, is that, yeah, we'd all like to have Curtis Sliwa, who I remember for years, be the mayor. But his 19 or 20%, he's got to get that out. So, like, the other guy's a murderer of old people, but he's still better than the Muslim communist. It's like, this is the weirdest thing.
I'm like, if I wasn't, because I work in the 5 boroughs, so my financial future depends on the city on Manhattan.
It's a problem.
So like I'm torn. I kind of want him to be elected because I kind of want people to be like, okay, so be it. That's
a theory. That's a theory that you have to go all the way down before you dig yourself out. But everybody's kind of afraid of that. But because if he wins, then that lets other people, Democratic Socialists, gives them like, well, and I could win. Then you have AOC running for president. I mean, this is a disaster.
I just look at it like, oh yeah, we got to vote for Cuomo. Elect the Democrat to protect us from Democratic politics.
But it's a level of Democrat. He's even a worse Democrat because of like all the other stuff. Look at what happened to London.
They say Curtis Sliwa should drop out. I'm like, Cuomo lost the primary. Why should the guy who won the primary drop out?
Well, because New York has a weird mayoral race, and you don't vote straight through. It's very strange.
He's gonna win. The fix is in. I have no faith that there's,
I don't want Cuomo either, but I just don't know. It's a level of issue.
The guys at work.
There's just not enough Republicans in New York to vote for Curtis Sliwa. That's the problem.
Everybody at work is panicking, and I'm just like, this is the result of the policies that you guys have been cheering for. This is the end result of everything that you've been cheering for.
And it doesn't just hurt. He's the mayor of New York, and the mayor of New York is the mayor of the 5 boroughs. But that hurts people in Westchester County, where I grew up, people Long Island, where Billy Tucci is. It affects all Connecticut. It affects the whole tri-state area because then the policies in New York City affects everybody because they feed New York City all the workers. Yep. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Yep.
And he's such a phony. He's such a phony.
But it's just like, this is what our tolerance has been weaponized against us. This is a person who didn't live in America 7 years ago. Now, so like, what do we do? All these policies chased out everybody. All the Republicans moved to Florida. They replaced it with people who have no loyalty to New York or the United States, and now they're just voting in this guy who's just like, oh, cool. This is a result of Democrat policies, guys. I kind of just feel like take your medicine, but it's directly going to affect me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I do know what you're saying. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else it could be.
We're gonna turn New York like I just hope that I stay on this job and I could just avoid the subways because it's gonna be crazy people on the subway. The cops aren't gonna be allowed to arrest anybody. The cops are all gonna quit, and then guys like me who don't take nonsense on the subway, I'm gonna be the one getting arrested, defending myself on the subway. So it's like I gotta retire, gotta get out of here. But anyway. It's clobbering time since we're talking about fighting.
Or clobbering Zamdani in Minecraft, whichever.
Yeah, it's clobbering time. So this is the weekly show where we talk about comic book stuff. So this versus that, just like we did when we were kids in the comic book store. So this week we're going to talk about who has the best rogues gallery. So, I have ideas but this is open, and of course, it has to be comic books. It's a comic book channel. So, Tony, do you want to start us off? Who do you think has the best rogues gallery and why?
Sure. Batman, obviously. Obviously, it's Batman, but I don't want to talk about Batman's rogues gallery. I'll let someone else do that. I will take instead the rogues gallery of Barry Allen, the Silver Age. So I'll represent the rogues, but I will also
and he's the one, they call themselves the rogues.
Yeah, the rogues. Yes, exactly. I will also say, without Chester Gould's Dick Tracy, the rogues gallery from there would be nothing for Bill Finger and Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson to poach from. So we have to put that there. You know?
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So tell us about.
Oh, okay. Well, the Rogues are a loose collection of essentially Barry Allen, Silver Age Flash's arch enemies. They are made up of Captain Cold, which is the unofficial leader of the Rogues, the Mirror Master, the Weather Wizard, the Pied Piper, Heat Wave, the Trickster, the Top. I think that's all I've got there, but we'll put them aside for the moment. There are some other unofficial rogues that are unaffiliated with them that I would consider to be Omega level threats. You have Gorilla Grodd, who is the criminal of Gorilla City. I would say he's like an Omega level telepath in the body of a gorilla. I don't know. I mean, gorillas are pretty damn strong. I don't know exactly how strong, but there's that. And then you have Abracadabra, which is a criminal from the 64th century, which is his science is so advanced it looks like magic, right. And he's completely insane. And the top of the ladder there is Eobard. I don't know how to say his name. Eobard Thwain. Or Thawne, whatever.
Eobard Thawne. Yeah.
Thank you.
Reverse Flash.
Yeah, the Reverse Flash. Now he is a completely different, lunatic unto himself. Super stalker, obsessed with the Flash. Things get weird post-crisis. You have a retcon done by Mark Waid in his brilliant Flash run, where apparently Barry Allen was a twin, and his twin was taken to the how'd you say the last name? Thawne. The Thawne family adopted him, and that was the beginning of the schism, which led up to Eobard going nuts and wanting to kill the Flash. It's part of that chain. Was it the Chain Lightning saga? I'm trying to remember what it was called. The main character that started all this was a character called the Blue Stone. I'm trying to remember. It gets kind of in the weeds, but I'm going to stick with the John Broome version of him, which is the original one. Which essentially he was just a super stalker from the future that was absolutely obsessed with the Flash, duplicated his powers, got an old uniform of his from the Flash Museum, reversed the colors, and used it to commit crimes. And he was basically, I don't know if you guys read the trial of Barry Allen, but around 1979, he killed Iris West, and then he killed, I believe her name was Fiona something, Barry Allen's second wife. But then it was revealed that Iris West wasn't in fact dead. She was from the time of the Legion of Superheroes, and it gets really convoluted there. But it was proven that Barry Allen did not. I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I've read the Trial of the Flash. I know that it ends with Barry Allen going into the future to be with Iris West.
Right,
but
does he
get cleared of the charges?
I don't know if he ever got cleared. I forget. I
don't remember that. I have to go. See, DC hasn't collected that. Again, it's usually some of that.
And the death of the biggest character, the Flash's wife, that like Iris Allen's like the biggest character. It's in a panel this big.
Yes.
By Don Heck. Like you think it's like this big splash page. No, it's just one panel of like a 6 or 8 panel page, and he just put his hands through her skull, and that was that. And then he dead. And then Barry like whined about it for 2 issues, as opposed to Peter Parker, who was really out for the whole year, almost a year and a half. That you get to press Peter Parker, right? Mm-hmm. For like 2 issues, and he's dating another chick like in a couple of days.
Exactly.
It was like DC. It was so weird.
It was very weird. But that's so he's like his arch enemy. Him and Gorilla Grodd are basically his most and Abracadabra, but Abracadabra is kind of over here. The 2 main ones was Grodd and Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash has basically all of the abilities of Barry Allen, and Barry Allen's powers are quite remarkable. I mean, if Barry Allen wanted to, he could probably destroy the world if he really wanted to. And
Flash problem.
Yeah, exactly. And Grodd, like I said, Grodd. I remember an issue where he could control the mind of every single person on planet Earth.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was no slouch. So this Rogues Gallery, I would say, is probably the best. First of all, I'm a little biased. That's my favorite Silver Age run of DC. For me, DC Silver Age is kind of, with the exception of the Bob Kanigher War books, it's really, I mean, it's whimsical and everything, but Silver Age Marvel was better written. Silver Age Marvel was better drawn. But The Flash was always on a class unto itself, in my opinion, with the writing, but also with the villains. The rogues were really special, very special. Go ahead.
I got to say, I never read any of those. I barely read any Flash pre-crisis.
The John Broome run, the original John Broome, Carmine Infantino run of the Flash, which starts at Showcase and ends around Showcase. The Flash 187. It's about 200 issues.
With Ross Andrew.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. I recommend it, John. The Flash is the best character in DC Silver Age.
I remember Flash is also known as Professor Zoom.
Yeah, Professor Zoom.
And they created another Professor Zoom, Hunter Zolomon. Yeah, in 2001. That was that just to complicate, but that was the modern. Like that's like
Yeah, that's not
Allen Flash type of thing.
Exactly. I'm gonna find something out here because it's pissing me off.
They used Thawne in a TV show. He was quite nasty, actually. He was a good villain, even then.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I never watched the CW Flash. You would think that I would.
Those seasons were really good, and 3rd season was okay, and then it just kind of falls apart because it's hard to do a thing about the Flash because the Flash has to act extra stupid to get defeated. Because he's so powerful, even though it is all the Flash. They using all the Mark Waid stuff, the Speed Force and stuff.
Certain things work better in comics than they do in live action, and I would say the Flash works better in comics than it does in live. And then, of course, there's that.
The Flash is he's just too powerful.
Yeah, but the way he was written, like Mark, for me, John Broome and Mark Waid were the only 2 that could handle writing the Flash. I hate Mark Waid, but his Flash run is nearly
it's expanded it even before him, and then he took it over. Like he expanded it, like these were the gods, and he had the whole legacy. And so they were kind of off on the other side of DC. He wasn't there dominating the DC universe, more or less. So he had his own. Lights has a lot of issues. He ended up having kids and all sorts of things going on.
Cobalt Blue. That's the guy I was looking for. Cobalt Blue, and it gets very convoluted, extremely but he was created by Mark Waid, and it was to tie in the Thawnes to the Allens. That's why he did that, and it was odd, but I liked it. I haven't reread it. I have to reread it one of these days. But yeah, I don't even know if that's still continuity anymore. But yeah, it was supposed to be like 2 feuding families, the Allens and the Thawnes, and that was what was supposedly what was sprinkled into the animosity that created the Reverse Flash. I don't know much about Hunter Zolomon. again, that wasn't my Flash. I stopped reading the Flash after Wade left.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, he was really an arch enemy of Wally West.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like Wally West reversed, but then, of course, they brought back Barry Allen.
Yeah,
It's a legacy character at this point.
Was it good?
Excuse me.
Was it good when they brought him back?
He was. Hunter Thompson was used by Jeff. It was a Jeff Johnson character. It was that rebirth when they brought back Barry Allen.
I wish they would have kept him dead. He had one of the most noblest deaths ever, and I love the fact that he became the lightning bolt that struck himself and struck.
Yeah, I thought it was the most elegant time. It closed the loop. It left. It tied up all the knots. I agree with you. They should have left. They shouldn't have killed him, but they killed him in such a good way. They should have left him dead. And by the time they brought him back, were there really people clamoring for Barry West to come back?
I don't know. I didn't think they personally, and I know this is probably a not too popular an opinion, but I think they should have left Hal Jordan dead.
Right. Well, they shouldn't have had him turn bad.
Exactly. But
once he turned bad,
exactly.
No problems with them killing him.
Well, except that
they killed him, he shouldn't have come back. There's a million.
When they brought him back in Rebirth, that started off like the just save DC, that Green Lantern, and all the different Green Lantern colors and the Black Lanterns. I mean, they rode that until they decided to do 52 and ruined it all. I mean, they had top artists on it and top writers.
Now to get
other than Batman, that was selling for DC. So
the rogues gallery of Barry Allen are ridiculously overpowered. Now that we got the psychos out of the way,
it's the more powerful the hero, the more you got. Like Superman, there's a problem with Superman. He's so powerful that you have to have Mogul and whatever. I love Lex Luthor, the fact that he's basically just a human who's smart and crafty and evil, but like you need Mixelplex, you need Doom. What's his name? Doomsday. Yeah, you need these super powerful people, and then that means, and you need more than one. And now, so that means, like, what good is Superman when there's basically an army of people just as powerful as him? And then, so that's why I prefer my characters to be on the weaker side.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you could scale them up over time, but like if they start out super, super powerful, then then the threat level has to be, and then who cares after a while? Like,
well, to get back to it, Captain Cold, Leonard Snart, the only man to have mastered absolute zero. Supposedly, he is the coldest out of all the DC villains. He's the only one that could actually achieve the absolute zero. He can freeze anything. He can freeze the Flash in his tracks. But he's smart enough to create the cold gun, but he's kind of a dumbass. And very his avarice is his weakness. Then you go to the Pied Piper, who is essentially a Sonic-based villain that can, well, like his name suggests, he can control you sonically, and like the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Then you have the Weather Wizard, who could control the very weather with his weather wand, which was invented by his younger, smarter brother. Then you have the I can't believe I forgot Captain Boomerang.
Yeah,
Captain Boomerang isn't even. He's a guy that he can throw the boomerangs very well. I mean, that's pretty much all Digger Harkness can do. Then you have the Top, who was somehow able to teach himself to reach astronomical speeds, but only spinning, to the point where he could almost control time, the passage of time. Then you have smaller villains like the Trickster, who is essentially kind of like the Joker, I guess. And then you have Captain Boomerang, of course, who could throw boomerangs very well. Heatwave, forgive me. Yeah, the opposite of Captain Cold. Yeah, with his asbestos suit. He had an asbestos suit back in the day.
He's going to change his name to Mesothelioma Man pretty soon.
Exactly. And yeah, so I mean, there were so many. I know I'm missing a few.
Mirror Master was
Mirror Master. Mirror Master is the strongest out of the bunch. He has the ability to live in the mirror universe. He can reach in and grab you and pull you in. Anywhere there's a reflective surface on planet Earth, he'll be there. And he has the ability to create mirror clones, which are temporary clones of Flash or Superman or himself or whomever that can break whenever he wants them to. Very, very powerful. I would put him up there.
He's frozen. He's unfrozen.
And he got killed in the Crisis on Infinite Earths, unfortunately, and he was replaced by a Scotsman, by Grant Morrison, in an issue of Animal Man.
Right, I remember that. Yeah, and that was my introduction to the character because I love that.
Yes.
Captain his sister was the Rainbow Rider, right? Or Rainbow
Golden Glider.
Golden Glider. Yeah, Golden Glider.
She was
Go ahead.
Golden Glider, and then the Rainbow Raider.
Yes, the Rainbow Raider.
Part of the Rogues.
John Broome Creations.
Rainbow Raider means something else. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I don't really know too much about those. I've got the entire Broome run in
those 70s and 80s characters.
Yeah, essentially, they're very unique. They're great. I love them. I think they're very well made. I think that John Broome really shot his wad on the Flash, because the Silver Age Green Lantern, my God, I love Hal, but his Rogues Gallery sucks. It's just a terrible Rogues Gallery, with the exception of Sinestro and the Weaponeers of Horde. The Silver Age Green Lantern's Rogues Gallery kind of blows, to be honest with you. I think it's probably the weakest out of the core characters.
I just want to clarify. You said Batman's was probably the best, but you want to talk about the Flash.
Yes. Batman would win. I mean, it's classic. The Joker, Two-Face, Penguin, Catwoman, the Riddler, Mr. Freeze, Ra's al Ghul. It's classic. It's the brand of brands. It's the rogue of rogues.
So we'll talk about Batman later. I think, like you said,
we talk about Batman a lot. So.
Yeah. I agree with you that the Mark Waid run, a person that I don't like.
Yeah, I hate him too.
He made the Flash and Rogues Gallery really cool characters.
No, he created some good stuff there. Impulse. He created a rogue called Savitar,
right?
Which was like the evil, another evil version of the Flash. He had the brilliant idea, and I'll give him this, to reach back and pick up an old quality comic speedster, dust him off, and give him Max Mercury, exactly. Who used to be Quicksilver, created by the guy that created Plastic Man.
Jack Cole.
Jack Cole, thank you. And so he brought a lot to the Flash. I loved his run. I tried to follow into the Grant Morrison run, and I know this might be an unpopular opinion. I don't like Grant Morrison. I just can't get into the guy. That guy's a tough nut to crack, and I can't do it.
I like him, but I'm not going to get bent out of shape if other people don't.
Yeah, so
I'm not a huge fan of superheroes, so sometimes when you read his superheroes, he's kind of downing them. I'd say I don't want to, he likes the war comics. He likes,
No. You're getting mixed up with Garth Ennis.
Yeah, I'm getting mixed up with Garth Ennis. I apologize to Grant Morrison.
But Grant Morrison's also a crazy person.
No, Grant Morrison gets lost in the weeds of the Silver Age. Like, he's the guy that digs stupid stories like the Batman from Xenar and all these stupid things that were done in the 50s, in the early 60s, which are nonsensical, but he loves them.
They brought back the Rival, which was like the Golden Age Flash's speed.
Only one appearance, and the last.
It's amazing what they just. I would never suggest anybody to do this because it gets so complicated. But they did it with the Flash, where all those characters are powered by the Speed Force. They're all linked together by family or the uncle, or they come back from the future, and it's all. Johnny Quick and everybody, they included everybody. Like the speed, somebody decided the speed had to come from somewhere. and they
Yeah,
created Speed Force. Because where does
that
Speed
was,
come from, right?
that was Mark Wade. Mark Wade created that, and he tied that into Max Mercury. And essentially, what the reveal was, and again, this happened post Crisis. This happened right after Crisis on Infinite Earths. A big reveal that the Speed Force is Barry Allen. When Barry Allen died, he became the lightning bolt that powered everybody that got struck by that lightning bolt. But Mark Wade never mentioned that, and I don't know if Grant Morrison ever did. And I don't know what the hell's going on with the Flash now because I ain't read a comic from DC in like 15 years.
I gotta check that out. I didn't hear about that, but that's
But
interesting.
the Wally West.
Before we continue, can we answer this question? I think this is a question that should be answered every once in a while. We just assume everybody knows what we're talking about. But what is the gold, silver, and bronze age of comics? Marcus, I think you're really
the golden age would be like the beginning of Superman till about the early 50s. And then the Silver Age starts with introducing the Flash in 1956, which I think is kind of early because I think of it as 60. And that the Silver Age goes all the way to all the way up to about 1970 or 71. It's either when Jack Kirby leaves Marvel or the death of Gwen Stacy.
Yeah,
or the introduction of the Conan #1. Take your pick. They've all been argued over.
Yeah, I mean, there's no hard fast dates. It's kind of approximation.
Right around the early 70s, and then the early 70s on and through the 80s. Well, till 1980 is about before Jim Shooter is the Bronze Age, and I don't know what to call. I don't know if you can consider up to 1988 the end of Jim Shooter's run part of the Bronze Age or not.
I always said the end of the Bronze Age was Crisis on Infinite Earths, but again,
you could say that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's argued that it's earlier, but I think that Crisis is a good point to that. Yeah.
But what is
when they started remaking everything?
We all agree that there's the silver, golden, and bronze age. What do we call after that?
Everything after is a problem. It's hard. The Image Age, like
because
when that
it's
started.
30 years. You know what I mean? Like it's not an insignificant amount of time.
Well, because the 80s were so important. So Marvel had Marvel Secret Wars and Jim Shooter era of Marvel Excellent Comics, the continuation of the X-Men and Byrne X-Men and Byrne doing Fantastic Four, and then Dark Knight, Watchmen, all were 80s comics. And it's a shame that 80s doesn't have, but that moved into the early 90s, which is just a speculator boom, which kind of destroyed everything. We're still suffering from the speculator boom. It's the boom and the crash. Same thing happened to trading baseball cards. Same thing. I mean, big speculator and then bam, all the way down.
So after the Bronze Age, I heard people say Iron Age and whatever age. They always say
don't really have an age.
But the modern age can't include.
I think they kind of call it all the modern age, but I don't think. I think they have to split it up. I don't know what they're kind of calling it now.
I don't know if that, but we all agree that there's a gold, silver, and bronze age. But after that, your guess is as good as mine.
I say the modern age started after Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's whenever that was.
That's so long ago, right? In 1986.
Because remember, DC had a 60-year run of continuity, uninterrupted, and that's the first time they cut it. That's when they redid everything.
Yeah, but that 60-year continuity had 3 ages.
Yeah, the golden, the silver, and the bronze. Now, for me, the bronze ends with Crisis on Infinite Earths, and the golden begins with 1933 with New Fun Comics #1, created by Major Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson, the very first DC comic, which was later I think in New Fun Comics #5, Siegel and Schuster's first published work, a character by the name of Dr. Occult, which Alan Moore picked up, dusted off, and inserted into the Swamp Thing. Remember the guy with the trench coat and
the problem with the modern age. There's 40 years of a modern age,
right. That's
1980. That's a long time. So where does it split? So I think you can call that modern age.
I'm going to look that up this week. That's my homework. Everybody,
I think the modern age ends with Image Comics.
Yeah,
it includes a speculation, the explosion of Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld at Marvel, and Jim Lee all at Marvel Comics, and then the Image when they split off the Image, the whole thing changes and it's something else. The Image Age, whatever, and then maybe that's coming till now. Even that's a long time ago. Now it's a long time ago, but based on who's making comics and around here, it seems like Image never ends. I mean, I talked to my writer from the 90s because I work with him still, and he goes, I explain, like, these guys have these characters, this guy's, he goes, just like Lionel, just like back then. And I go, same thing.
I got a question for you two guys.
Well, let me answer this.
Yeah.
There was a Crisis on Multiple Earths in the 50s, 60s, right? Then Crisis on Infinite. The Crisis on Infinite Earths that we're talking about was Marv Wolfman, George Perez. It was 84 or 85. I forget the exact year. And it was a 12-issue series that ended DC continuity. As far as I know, it was the first time. But they took the name Crisis because DC had a tradition of using the word crisis in big stories. A lot of times there was crises, and the Justice Society would have to cross into from their Earth to Justice League Earth because there was a crisis.
Yeah, because
so DC had a long history with the word crisis, but Crisis on Infinite, like there was Crisis on Earth 2, which was a story. There was Crisis on Earth 3, which was another, but Crisis on Infinite Earths is usually what we talk about when we talk about the crisis.
It was felt, I don't know if it's just Marv Wolfman, but it was felt that the multiple Earths were confusing. Now, I didn't find them confusing. You didn't find them confusing. No. Apparently, they felt it was confusing. Marvel didn't have multiple Earths. Marvel had one Earth. Marvel really didn't revamp their comics. And so they tried to have it all on one Earth, and they destroyed all the multiverse, which they felt bring back.
Right. And now everybody in grandmother understands multiverse concepts.
And essentially, it was like dumping a gallon of continuity into a shot glass of a universe.
It wasn't a bad story. I mean, it was really well.
Certain characters were destroyed.
Well, I will say this. The problem with the Crisis on Infinite Earths is they half-assed it. What they should have done was canceled every comic book and started at issue 1. And don't, every time they reboot the Legion of Superheroes, they do the Darkness Saga or whatever. No, cancel it all so that well, it would have made it easier. They wouldn't have to explain Justice League and Justice Society.
That was the idea. That was the idea. And they would have Legends. Legends kind of rebuilt the heroes. And that was the idea to do it. But unfortunately, they decided that George Perez was going to revamp Wonder Woman, and that was going to start later. And Man of Steel was going to start later. And nobody really F's with Batman that much. So, like, that's what ended up happening. If they had Byrne and Wonder Woman, and they did that Man of Steel right after instead of months later, a year later almost, that was a big problem with it. And then he's explaining a new Superman, getting rid of stuff. And then people got mad, there's no more Krypto. Oh, there was Superboy.
Yeah.
But then we tried they insert the Flash in there, and that goes to the JSA. And then you have the Hawkman question.
And sitcom Justice League. And then Mike Barron and Jackson Geist did Flash. It was Wally West. And that was all brand new right after. Green Lantern right after. It all started again right after that. But the big three really didn't. They waited for these big creators to go take them over again. And Batman really wasn't revamped. It was all Dark Knight, so he was almost separated out, right? Because they wanted to end up using the Dark Knight continuity.
Yeah, he was revamped by Frank Miller
Frank Miller, David Mazzucchelli, with Batman Year One. So they did end up half-assing it, but I don't think they meant to half-ass it, right?
I want to answer this question. Yes, I saw a guy make a video. Yeah, there was a DC story called Crisis on Multiple Earths. And it was about, like, I forget, like Per Degaton or something like that was going to invade Earth 2 and Earth 1 or something like that, and Earth 3 got involved.
What I thought they half-assed is they destroyed all of Roy Thomas's Justice Society, and Infinity Inc. is all gone. And then they destroyed the Legion of Superheroes. Has never been the same since.
Hawkman,
a complete disaster. A lot of stuff they just kind of they didn't really think through. And maybe they didn't even have to do it. It's a good story. It's nice reading.
I had a quick question for you two guys. Did Marvel ever do anything like that? You guys are the Marvel people. They're smart. You see,
Marvel never did that. Marvel didn't really start revamping it or multiversing until way, way later, like House of M or stuff like that.
When
not even that redid their whole continuity. Marvel really never did it.
When you have continuity that's that long and that dense and that populated, that's something you treasure.
Well,
You
in Marvel's defense, Marvel was all created by Jack and Stan and then Steve Ditko. So it was really three people that created the lion's share of Marvel continuity. And and it had the same writer, whereas DC was like a bunch of different companies. Like you could almost argue that the early Doom Patrol was its own separate universe. And then
well, DC started as two separate.
Did the Metal Men exist in the main universe until recent? You know what I mean? Like National Comics, American Comics, right?
All
That's
American
right. They merged, Green Lantern and Wonder Woman were all American comics, and then Batman and Superman with DC Comics.
There were two separate companies under one umbrella, and they shared resources.
So not only that, Marvel's like DC never really had a universe. They had Batman and Superman would be in World's Finest together, and they didn't even think about having a shared universe. They had the Justice League. They didn't really think about all that stuff. But Stan and Jack and Steve, I don't think Steve really liked it too much, would have, Spider-Man swinging in. Oh, he sees Thor and he waves. It just kind of like all the universe came apart naturally, and then it got complicated.
You're absolutely right.
They forced their universe in to copy Marvel because that got popular.
Perfect example of what you said. Superman. Superman was a very complicated character pre-crisis because essentially what it was there are two different Supermans. You had the Superman that came out in 38, and then you had the Superman which came out in 45. The Superman that came out in 45 was Superboy. That was the continuity that people equate with the Silver Age Superman, meaning him and Lex were friends, Smallville, the Legion of Superheroes, all of that. The bulk of that stuff is what became, so it was weird, right? Because the continuity of Superman changed. It was a constant fluctuating thing. Like Luthor started off as somebody that he didn't know, and then all of a sudden by 1960 they were best friends when they were children.
Right. The Superboy.
So what you were saying is right, Marcus. There was a continuity in DC Comics, but my God, was it half-assed.
They really didn't think about it. They like to have their characters team up and be friends, like Green Lantern and Flash in the 60s that John Broome would write it or something, which Gary
exactly.
But they really didn't want to think about it.
Exactly, and that's how you get the Justice Society and the Justice League. It almost seemed like the characters from the Justice Society bled into the League, and the rest of the Justice Society were forgotten about.
That's right.
It was weird. It really was. That's why, as much of a DC guy as I am, trying to figure out that continuity is nuts. It's insane.
Well, that's why they did Crisis on Infinite Earths.
They screwed it up even worse. They made it even worse. They really did.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand. So we talked about the Flash's rogue gallery. Marcus, do you have a favorite rogue gallery you want to bring up?
Oh, well, I'll bring up. I was gonna think about Dick Tracy, but he's like the OG Rogues Gallery, and that's a lot. That's linked to Batman.
You're the only one who's going to bring up because I don't know enough about Dick Tracy. So go ahead.
So I would. Oh, if you want me to talk about Dick Tracy, I could. I was going to bring up Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery because he probably is the best Rogues Gallery in Marvel. If you whichever you want.
Good. Give us a couple of minutes on Dick Tracy.
So Dick Tracy. I look at my list here as my cat bites me. I mean, every unique rogue. I mean, this is why all these villains became so crazy. They had, there's B88 Keys, the Brow, and Mama, Flat Top. Everybody knows Flat Top, Mumbles, BBIs are all unique, mutated characters, basically Chicago gangsters, and that he would, he would kill brutally and then somehow bring him back later. And a lot of those type of things.
Dick Tracy killed them?
Batman and Bill Finger and Bob Kane used all those, basically all those. The idea of the whole Rogues Gallery really comes from Dick Tracy. Because he had this lists and lists of them. Because Prune Face, Mrs. Prune Face, the Mole, Shaky, Briar, Rivalry. And they're all unique mutated characters based on like John Dillinger or all those, all those gangsters of the past, like 30s gangsters. And
I never realized that before, but yeah,
if you look
it's
it
like
up,
the
it's really
goof
kind
on
of
mafia
amazing.
nicknames. Like we've all seen Goodfellas when they're like, yeah, Johnny 2 times, and you know,
Exactly.
Joe,
Yeah, exactly.
I never realized that before, but yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
And they would die these awful deaths. Heads would be rolling off. They get crushed by like garbage trucks.
Oh, really?
And they'd be frozen. Oh, but Dick Tracy was incredibly violent.
I didn't know that. The neon noodle. Does anybody get where the neon noodle is from?
Yeah,
That's
I don't
Duck
get
Tracy.
that.
That's one of my favorite
yeah.
episodes of Looney Tunes.
I mean, Tony probably knows more about Dick Tracy than me, but that was the first thing I remember. I read a lot of Dick Tracy when I was a kid. They had a book in the library at school, and I don't know
if I wanted to read up on Dick Tracy, what would be a good? Was it a newspaper strip or a comic? I never read
a newspaper strip.
A newspaper strip, yeah. The new one I would recommend if you want to dive into newer Dick Tracy, Max Allen Collins, the guy that does Mystery.
Right.
He is the Dick Tracy guy. You should
But the
read
original was Chester
artist.
Gould.
It was in the New York Daily News for years, so we always read Dick Tracy. It was on the back. It started out the comic strips. Big color Dick Tracy, and that was Rick Fletcher. I remember Rick Fletcher and Dick Locker. And then Joe Staten did it the last before they completely got rid of it. That was kind of style. He got more stylish, and he went to the moon. He did all those crazy things.
I remember the
30s and 40s and the early 50s, almost before the two-way radio and all that stuff. And he was flying, like they started flying around in little like police things.
And he was parodied by
way ahead of his time.
And he was parodied by Al Cap in the Little Abner strip as Fearless Fawcett.
Yeah. I'm not an expert on comic strips like comic books, but the influences are so great between the overflow from comic strips to comic books, because all the artists of the 40s and writers from the 40s and 50s, they say, well, there's no fans turn pro. Well, they were fans of comic strips. Before Jack Kirby and all these guys all wanted to do comic strips. The
original comic books were repurposed comic strips, remember? Yeah.
I mean, they were so big. Dick Tracy had his own TV show. He had a cartoon show when I was a kid. The
Warren Beatty film? That was a good film.
The Warren Beatty film.
I was one of two people in the movie theaters, and
we saw that. I liked it. So that's like the beginning of all the Rogues Gallery. A lot of the Batman, especially early Batman characters, the fact that they were not just exactly, but Tweedledee and Tweedledum, the Penguin, all those unique looks that they were all kind of mutated almost mutants. Are Catwoman's the Femme Fatale's is separate, Joker's a little bit separate, but all those other guys early on were all influenced by Dick Tracy. And I think all Rogues Gallery influenced by that. Herrenberg.
Yeah. So we might as well talk about Spider-Man now. So all three of us could talk about Spider-Man. I mean,
you can talk about Spider-Man.
Yes, so Spider-Man, Jack Kirby. I always say that Steve Ditko and Stan Lee created Amazing Fantasy 15, and he immediately fought guys like some of my favorites, like the Lizard, Dr. Octopus, the Green Goblin, the Rhino, Sandman,
the Vulture,
and the Vulture. Yeah, Electro. Like, what great classic villain! And they haven't really changed that much. It just shows you how powerful Steve Ditko's designs were. I mean, every once in a while they tweak Spider-Man's costume, but he always comes back to that I think the greatest superhero costume of all time. And then look at Electro. Only Steve Ditko could make that ridiculous starfish on his head.
Mysterio.
Oh, Mysterio.
Who could draw Mysterio like that? I mean, his designs, they really stick.
So bizarre, but Sandman, that green and black striped shirt, but it just works. You're very inventive. Yeah. Is there anybody who? And then later on, you conclude guys like the Shocker. And it's funny because Kingpin was debuted in Spider-Man, but he became a better fit for Daredevil, if you ask me. Like I never believed Spider-Man would have a hard time physically fighting Kingpin, you know, but it works for Daredevil. Like he never should have got to Kingpin. He should have like waded through hundreds of guys and tricks and traps, you know, and be tired by the time he gets to King, because he's just a guy. But did I say Rhino? Yes, I did say
Rhino. That was actually created by John Romita.
How silly is that Rhino? It's just a square with his face.
But it's such a like the Spider-Man villains are so primal. A lot of them, Kraven the Hunter, you know, and they're used over and over. They make a movie just about the villains. Forget Venom. Venom doesn't count. By the way, Carnage, they don't count. That's like that modern crap. Those are good villains too, but those original villains, I mean, they're all green. The green, they all wore. A lot of them wore green as in contrast to Spider-Man's red and blue. He was a spy, you know, and they're also almost always, to your point about superheroes, they're almost always stronger than Spider-Man. So even though Spider-Man is tremendously strong, if you read the Lee Ditko run, he outthinks the villains, especially like that. You realize in Spider-Man 2 when he fights the Vulture, he outthinks the Vulture than is supposed to physically defeating the Vulture.
Right? Yeah. For Dr. Octopus, he shot him. He webbed his glasses to his face so he couldn't see. Yeah.
I love the design
of character that's like 90 years old.
I love the design of J. Jonah Jameson. He was cool designs. I love that flat top. And the Hitler mustache and the cigar. Yeah.
Yeah. That was supposed to be Stan Lee, right? He was goofing on himself.
Probably.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I don't know. The powers. Dr. Octopus is such a cool villain. Like he's, you know, for just the idea that these 4 mechanical arms, you know, turns into, and then Sandman. I'm trying to think. Has there ever been a guy before Sandman who was like that? The closest I could think of is Plastic Man, but like, you know, whose body changed like that. That was such a cool, and Mysterio, you know, using psychological, you know, because he didn't have any mystical powers. Like, I don't know if Mysterio does now, but it was all like he was a special effects guy, and he set it up so that Spider-Man thought he was going crazy. I love that. It really is a good group of villains. But my favorite, and Hydro is a good one. My favorite Rogues Gallery is still the Fantastic Four. You know, I just think they have my favorite Rogues Gallery.
They have such powerful ones.
But I understand if other people could say Batman or Spider-Man is better. Again, I'm not that kind of fan. But I mean, first off, Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom is the greatest villain in all comic books. His name is Doom. He's a bad guy. He may act like a good guy once in a while to trick you, but he's a bad guy. He's Dr. Doom. Then we got Galactus. Galactus should, you know, Marvel editors should come down heavy. You use Galactus once every couple of years, and you have to earn the right to use Galactus. He shouldn't be getting punked by Squirrel Girl or Speedball or Night Thrasher or, you know, or any.
I never count those modern stuff.
You know what I mean? Like Galactus is, oh no, we gotta, you know, like the Mold Man is like, we gotta get our poop together. We gotta team up. Galactus is here, and then the Mole Man, great villain. I mean, Submariner was reintroduced as a villain to the Fantastic Four. Silver Surfer, yeah. The Frightful Four, I love the Frightful Four. You know, the Inhumans. I mean, believe it or not, Black Panther started fighting the Fantastic Four. You know, and even though he started out as a good guy, he challenged the Fantastic Four to test himself.
Yeah.
Molecule Man,
the Negative Zone.
The whole Negative Zone, Annihilus, Blastar.
I mean, that guy. Yeah, Blaster. Yeah, he had a lot of great villains. Well, they were powerful. Well, the Fantastic Four is pretty powerful.
Yeah, I love the Fantastic Four rogues. I mean, is the Watcher? I'll throw the Watcher in. He's not really a bad guy, but he's
well. The irony about Galactus' origin was told in Thor.
Yeah.
But he was so powerful, he could fight Thor and Odin.
Right. I just love the. I'm trying. I know that there's bad guy. Oh, the Red Ghost.
The Molecule Man.
The Molecule. Yeah, the Molecule Man.
The Impossible Man.
Impossible Man.
Well, they only used him once. Stan hated the Impossible Man.
Prester John. Not too many people remember him.
Joe with the big cup on a stick.
Mm-hmm.
There was that one guy that shrank him down.
Oh, the Psycho Man.
Yeah, Psycho Man. That was a good one. That was in that annual. But like Kirby was on such a roll creating characters till about like issue 80, 85. And he decided not to give them anything anymore because he got mad at them. But
yeah, but it was so good. I mean, that is such a great. That's just my favorite Rogues Gallery. I mean, but
I don't blame you.
Favorite comic. But I guess now we got to talk about Batman. You know, we've been saving it. You know,
yeah.
I mean, obviously we got the Joker. I hate the Joker, but I got to admit,
there was a time they didn't use the Joker hardly at all. Like a lot of the '60s, they didn't really. When they brought back the Joker, that Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil brought back the Joker, he hadn't been used in years.
You had 3 versions of the Joker, though, pre-crisis. Remember, you had the one from the 40s that killed, the one from the 50s and 60s that was basically Cesar Romero, and then you had the Denny O'Neil Joker. So you gotta pick which Joker you like, or you can like them all, you know.
I mean,
Chuck Dixon said that Denny O'Neil told him you don't have to come up with different versions of the Joker. That's the Joker. He's chaos incarnate. Every day he reinvents himself. So every version of the Joker is the Joker. That
was Grant Morrison. He's the one that came up with that in Arkham Asylum, that every day the Joker wakes up, he reinvents himself. That was Grant Morrison trying to... Remember, Morrison's got that weird obsession with the Silver Age. Like, it has to all be fit together, and it doesn't fit together. That's why I like it so much. You have column A, column B, column C. You don't have to make it all fit together. I don't think it was ever supposed to fit together.
Even the smaller villains like Poison Ivy, Hugo Strange are great for Batman. Like they just dust
one of my favorite
lesser-known
Batman villains. I love Hugo Strange.
Hugo Strange. I mean, they didn't use him, and then they've been using him a lot. Yeah, everybody seems to come up with a good Batman villain. Clayface, three different Clay faces.
Two-Face, the Monk.
I'll never forget reading about that. That outsider that killed Alfred. That was really Alfred.
Killer Moth, Deadshot. I mean, you could go into the weeds. Like I said, brand of brands. That guy's got the best. I mean. Well, let me ask you a question, John. I know that the Joker is in your face. You can't escape him. I find him to be quite irritating at times. But was there a story that he was in that you ever liked?
I don't like the Killing Joke. The best that I did like was I hated Death in the Family. He becomes an ambassador to Iran and stuff. It's just
dumb. Yeah.
But I like the Marshall Rogers with the Joker fish and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I still like Cesar Romero as the Joker.
Me too. Yeah, he's my favorite live action Joker. But I know people. Yeah,
I did like the Man of Steel story with Joker fought Superman.
Yeah, I like that
one. But I guess I'm just an unabashed fanboy of John Byrne. But just the Joker, I don't know. I don't like clowns. And I just found the Joker to be annoying. Like, I don't know. Like, and you'll see in Heroic Tales 3, you'll see how I feel about the Joker. I have my Batman character dealing with a clown-based character. The name of the story is The Day the Clown Cried. So you'll see in Heroic Tales 3. Renzo can't wait to draw it. But I just don't like the Joker. He's overused.
Yes.
I don't know. He's just overused, but
the best version of that character remains the BTAS version of that character.
Yes, absolutely.
And followed quite closely by the Batman 66 version of him, because Cesar Romero really, in my opinion, he did a good.
Yeah.
Nicholson was too old for the role. He was too fat for the role, and it was fine. It was fine for what it was. Heath Ledger's Joker was an incredible portrayal, but that was not the Joker. That was an anarchist. That was just a terrorist. That's what he was. What I consider to be the Joker is a criminal with a sense of the theatrical. You know, a criminal that wants to amass money and wants to be in charge of things. He would never set fire to a pile of money. You know, he would never do anything like that.
Right.
But it was a good portrayal. The Joaquin Phoenix Joker, I don't know what the hell that was. And the Jared Leto Joker, holy crap. That was its own weird thing right there, you know. But those, you know, Cesar Romero and Mark Hamill were my favorites. Right.
The other thing about
go ahead, Marcus.
So the Batman Rogues Gallery is that it kept getting unlike most of them, where it's harder to come up with a more modern that's decent, like Carnage or Venom. Venom is part of the lore, but they keep coming up with new Ra's al Ghul, Man Bat, Killer Croc, things that came later, Bane. In Batman, they keep adding them over every year. Like it wasn't just Steve Ditko and a couple by John Romita. It just kept using Steve Ditko's villains. They kept adding new villains over the decades of Batman.
Yes,
that have become like iconic. I mean, the last one's really Harley Quinn to a certain extent, although now she has her own comic. It gets confusing, but she started as a Batman Rogues Gallery villain.
That character I dislike intensely. I love what
the ironic thing about Harley Quinn, she the best one was of course Paul Dini created her for the Batman cartoon, and then the Mad Love graphic novel that he did with Bruce Timm was really good. But once it got into DC proper, the people that ruined him was really unbelievably is really Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner. That's when they're lauded for that. Just lines for her to sign Harley Quinn comics.
Under the direction of Dan DiDio, remember he was the one that told him to do that.
There's a lot of Dan DiDio had a lot of forces around him, telling him he's got to do that stuff.
And they just ruined her, man. They turned her into a freaking lesbian roller derby Deadpool knockoff.
It's a mess. I know. Deadpool's a mess too. I don't really like Deadpool.
Deadpool sucks.
I'm not a big Deadpool fan.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Freeze is a good one. Yeah.
Scarecrow. Yeah.
This was an interesting one. Created by Bill Finger back in 1959. Mr. Zero was kind of a dorky villain. You should go back and read Batman 121. I mean, he's drawn so bad. It was the Batman 66 show that gave him the name Mr. Freeze and gave him a personality. But it was Paul Dini and Bruce Timm that really made that character. They just completely rebuilt it from the ground up. Love that character. Yeah, I forgot about him.
Two-Face is a great character.
Two-Face is a very good
character they used a lot early on, and then they didn't use him at all. And then O'Neill Adams and Denny O'Neill brought him back.
Because of the comic show.
I want to address this. You like Cesar Romero over Nicholson and Ledger?
Yes.
I love Cesar Romero because I was a little kid, and you love, just like you loved Lucky Charms cereal or Fruit Loops. You know what I mean? You know it's not good. You know it's not the best, but you love it because you were a kid. So that's how I feel about Cesar Romero. Plus, I just love that whole old school actors, Burgess Meredith and Romero and
the Penguin.
Price. Like I love that era of Hollywood. It really is a bygone thing. Like we don't have that type of movie star anymore. So I love.
Mr. Freeze was Vincent Price, right?
Yep.
No, he was Otto Preminger, and then he was Eli Wallach.
Oh, that's right. Eli Wallach. Vincent Price was another guy.
But Nicholson, it's funny because I was so excited when they cast Nicholson, and it was such a disappointment to me. That Batman '89 movie to me was just overall a disappointment. I thought they did everything like just obvious.
You're like the only one, so
Jack Nicholson just did the most obvious portrayal of the Joker. That was that might be the only movie that drove comic sales in the history of movies. Right, I know. I know I'm the.
I know that there's an argument with Marvel dropped the ball on because they didn't have the real Avengers in the comics when the Avengers movie came out. But no, I had a retailer used to tell me, he goes, I don't care if there's a movie, it doesn't sell any comics, but Batman sold Batman 89 sold comics.
They had
really
in the theater.
Everybody's wearing Batman t-shirts. Everybody. It was like wearing a Yankee hat. They'd have a Batman hat on instead.
Right. But I thought Jack Nicholson I think he just telephoned it in. He did.
It was lazy. It was a lazy portrayal. You're absolutely.
I'm also going to say this. I like the dark look of Tim Burton, and I'm grateful that the Tim Burton elevated Batman in the same way that the Christopher Reeves movie elevated Superman, in the fact that the average person would buy a Batman or a Superman movie as cinema. But I thought it was a bad retelling of the Marshall Rogers, Steve Englehart Batman, and then and everything about the Batman costume was lazy. Michael Keaton was like stiff as a board, and then he was killing people. Yeah. Dropping bombs and stuff like that. I thought I missed the point. And then here's another controversial thing that I've never said before live on Prince's soundtrack was dull.
It sucked. You're right. Danny Elfman's soundtrack was better.
It was that dance. It was how obvious and lame. It's to the point that it's as remembered. Go watch that now, everybody. It was.
Oh no, I don't. I'm not completely disagreeing with you. I'm just making funny about it. But I was kind of. It was a weird movie to me. It wasn't. I don't disagree with any of that. I'm just saying how popular it was.
But when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, I was excited and I freaking loved him as the Joker. But I do agree that wasn't the comic book Joker.
It wasn't. It was an anarchist. That's what
really Batman either.
That was the Nolan-verse Joker, and he was excellent. He was absolutely excellent, but that wasn't the Joker. But I don't care because I don't like the Joker. So that didn't bother. If they had the Vulture, they did have the Vulture, but Michael Keaton was good. Michael Keaton.
We didn't watch that movie. Are they good?
Michael Keaton was
terrifying in that Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
He was terrifying.
He's a good actor.
So good, but he's a good scary actor. Go see Pacific Heights.
I saw
terrifying.
Yeah.
But and the other one, Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. I like the movie,
but that was
just a freaking loser who just lost his, you know what I mean? Like,
but that wasn't really the Joker.
He wasn't a super villain. He was just a crazy guy that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I kind of liked it as it is, but I kind of liked it because Robert De Niro got shot in the face, and I liked it as it was. If one of my favorite movies of all time is Martin Scorsese's The King of Comedy.
Yes,
it was almost a mirror image of The King of Comedy. Guys, go watch The King of Comedy.
I remember
the first Joker movie, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But I didn't see the second one.
I did.
As soon as they said Lady Gaga, I was out. But
you know what happens at the end, John? I'll spoil it for you. The Heath Ledger Joker kills him in Arkham Asylum, cuts up his face, and that's the end of the movie. Ta-da! There you go. What about the Jared Leto Joker? Did any of you guys see Suicide Squad?
I didn't see
Suicide Squad. I don't see a lot of superhero movies.
I saw the first.
I just don't go to the movies that much anymore.
It wasn't as bad as everybody told me it was, but I think I got my expectations lowered.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the second one. I also don't like Harley Quinn. I like the Paul Dini Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a brilliant character who's not supposed to. She's supposed to be a damaged person.
Yeah, she is. That's literally yes. That's true.
I think she works best as this, puppy dog that just wants to be loved by the Joker, who's never going to love her. She's not supposed to be good. She's not supposed to be a role model. She's not supposed to be something you look up to. She's a pitiful character that we're like, oh, come on, Harley, get your crap together.
If you ever read Mad Love, she was a bad character. She slept with her professors to pass. She poisoned somebody in order for she was
I have Mad Love because I didn't get rid of all my books, just my comic books.
Yeah,
man, that's true. And she was voiced by Arlene Sorkin, and that was just brilliant. The soap opera actress with that great New York Brooklyn accent.
Yep.
And
Poison
now this
Ivy,
Harley
I love
Quinn is
Poison
like
Ivy.
that. I'm going to blame Jimmy. That's it, James Palmiotti.
I love Poison Ivy so much. You'll see that I have a Poison Ivy homage in Patriarch number 2. Big. She plays a big part in the past of the Patriarch. You'll see. Michael Keaton just debuted this week at inaugural Pittsburgh Walk of Fame. Cool. He's from Pittsburgh. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I saw that. I think
Suicide Squad was a bait and switch. It's Ghostbusters in the DC Comics. Great 2 trailer. Horrible film. I didn't see the second one. Some character. Yeah, you know. Yeah, it's okay for the Vulture not to be an inspiring male role model. It's okay for Dr. Octopus not to be. These are villains. It's okay to have a
in Hollywood, the superheroes are
not a role model, guys. I know Margot Robbie is hot and she played her in a movie, so every girl wants to dress up as Harley Quinn, and then they realize that she's a horrible person, so we can't have that because we can't upset women. But Harley Quinn is supposed to be a bad person. And I like her better. I actually like Harley Quinn better than the Joker, and I don't even like Harley Quinn. Not anymore. Again, I like you said, the animated series is probably the best version of anything Batman related.
Yes. That Superman, the animated series, and Batman, the animated series.
I loved all those animated series.
All that stuff.
I think Superman was underrated compared to Batman.
Yes.
I really liked the Superman animated series.
All right, it's 1:30 and I've been up way too late. So, is there any rogues galleries that we didn't like? Who should
Superman?
Get? Oh,
Wonder Woman.
I don't know. Like Wonder Woman. A couple early in the chat was like, Superman is the greatest rogues gallery.
You guys talk for a second. I want to go get another soda, so I'll be right back.
Sure.
But talk about Superman and Wonder Woman.
What do they have? Lex Luthor, the Ultra Humanite at the beginning.
The first villain he fought was the Ultra Humanite, which is the first transgender supervillain.
That's true.
Because he started off as a bald, crippled man, and then he put his brain into a hot, young star that was modeled after Rita Hayworth.
I don't even think in the 40s, Superman, he had adventures and he saved things, but he didn't really have villains for a long time.
He had Luthor debuted in 23, but as I was saying before,
it wasn't really Luthor.
There's 2 versions of Luthor. There's the version before 45, and there's the version after 45. The pre-45 version, he was just a terrorist. That's all he was. He was constantly trying to conquer nations, crash the economy, all this shit, and he had red hair. The Luthor after 45, which is in the Superboy continuity, well, you know the story. It's a classic.
It's the silliest hatred. Why do I hate somebody in the history of hating somebody? But
exactly. So Golden Age Superman had, off the top of my head, the Ultra Humanite, Luthor, J. Wilbur Wolfingham, the Toyman, the Puzzler, the Archer, and Mr. Mxyzptlk. Those were the original Golden Age guys. Now everything
Superman stories, even in the Silver Age, don't have him fighting villains because he can't fight anybody because he's too powerful. Exactly. Particularly in the Silver Age. Oh, I got to move. He goes out to other planets. He marries somebody, the imaginary tale. Superman Red, Superman Blue. The City of Canada, like a lot of depending on who's Autobinder, a lot of Krypton stories.
Yes.
The power. Jim Shooter created the Parasite.
Yes.
With who drew that? Al Pastino, I think.
Yes,
that was a big villain. The Parasite's a pretty good villain for Superman.
The Parasite was his last great Silver Age villain, the last great one that he had. I love it.
They brought back the Toyman. They Luthor every other issue, but it's always that's the charm of the Superman was what were they going to do? He's got to keep from Lois from finding out.
Exactly.
Superman and what's Jimmy doing today?
The whimsical stories in the vein of the old 40s Fawcett Captain Marvel stories. Jimmy drank a potion that turned him into a cat.
Stuff like that.
Lois was trying to find out Superman's identity so she could marry him. stuff
Right, it's
like
almost
that.
like in the current Superman movie, the big kaiju monster comes in. He's not a villain, but Superman has to fight the kaiju monster. That happened in the Silver Age an awful lot. How many villains he didn't get villains till the 70s, till after they depowered him a little bit.
Yeah, well, he did have Bizarro. He had Brainiac.
Bizarro, and they did Brainiac, but Brainiac in Silver Age was like a green Lex Luthor.
Yeah, well, exactly. That would collect cities, and he had a pet monkey on his shoulder. Yeah, Bleep the monkey.
Which version of Brainiac do you like the best?
Oh, I like the one that they made in the Triangle. The Byrne, Jerry Ordway, Marv Wolfman.
The big robot one.
It's much more powerful.
I like the Brainiac from Superman, the animated series. I think that's the Brainiac there is.
I mean, Superman has so little villains that in an animated series, Darkseid ended up to be his main villain.
Well, he was. Remember, Darkseid debuted in Jimmy Olsen, and Forever People #1 had a cameo.
Right.
With
Superman was in the early New Gods. Continuity. Yeah. That was weird because when Superman was in New Gods continuity, he wanted to go to Supertown because Kirby wrote him as this lonely guy who was not. He didn't fit in with humanity because he's Kryptonian. Like we have a couple of different versions of. So he wanted to go to Supertown and meet all the Forever People and the kids because they were super like him, and he would be with his own people, which is really odd when you think about it. They don't really do that with Superman too much. He didn't have a grounded Superman at all.
So Superman villains are really weird, but yeah, they were all over the place, but not as weird as the Wonder Woman villains.
Before you go to Wonder Woman, I just want to talk the Ultra. I went to the bathroom while you were talking about Ultra Humanite. He's my favorite Superman villain. I don't know why I find the Ultra Humanite terrifying. Like supervillains that like steal bodies and take identities. There's something.
Yeah, that's really creepy. You're right.
Really, really scary to me at a gut level. But like you said, he started out as a scientist, and he learned a way to steal other people's bodies, and he would call other people's bodies humanites. Like they weren't even human to him. They were humanites, like things were used. And he was the ultra humanite because he started realizing that he didn't have his original body anymore. So like you see, he swapped into like a beautiful movie star, which is weird.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And then he swapped into a giant insect.
Yeah, that was the 70s. That was Roy Thomas. Yeah, and then the albino gorilla, the famous albino gorilla. Yeah,
with the giant head and everything like that. It's just terrifying that he. Like his body could be destroyed, but his consciousness could be projected to other things.
Yeah, and if I don't know if you've ever read the James Robinson Golden Age Elseworld miniseries. Did you ever read the villain there, and he ends up killing Dan the Dynamite and taking his brain out and putting Adolf Hitler's brain in Dan the Dynamite. Yeah.
I know that was some for Paul Smith artwork. That's a dark. Mini Golden Age is pretty dark.
You bring up Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman has a really, for the most part, a lame.
Very lame. Very, very lame. Now, I'm no Wonder Woman expert. I've read a chunk of the Marston stuff. So off the top of my
Marston at least was interesting. You know, the Kanigher, Andrew, and Esposito stuff is like 8 years of like you could just see from the covers.
20
like
years.
This bland character.
That was a 20-year run, Marcus. Remember that 20 years until Denny O'Neil came over, took it over, depowered her, crashed
depowered depowered. You know why Wonder Woman? Speaking of Wonder Woman, got back into a regular costume.
Yeah,
trying to put her on the cover of Ms. Magazine. I think Murphy Anderson drew it of the traditional Wonder Woman costume. And DC, holy Christ, we got to bring it back. We got to bring her back.
That's
can't have her be Diana Rigg.
That's when Denny O'Neil was, like I said, I have a lot of respect for the man, but God, he sucked as a writer. I'm sorry. Like occasionally things he did I liked, but most of it he didn't. But anyways, there's Ares or Mars from Wonder Woman 1. There's the Duke of Deception. There's Dr. Psycho.
Wasn't he a Burger King villain?
And there's Dr. Psycho, who was this misogynist dwarf man. Okay. There's Priscilla Rich, the cheetah, the one everybody knows.
Well, they still use the cheetah.
The Blue Snowman, who recently made what news because they hit her back and made her transgender, which is funny. There's Dr. Poison, which was a woman masquerading as a man. And then there's Circe, Circe. They brought her in, and that's all from me. I mean, does anybody else?
Hercules,
Silver Swan.
Yeah, but that's like in the 70s. Like we're talking like Silver Age stuff, Golden Age stuff. That's all Egg Foo from the Robert. Yeah, I mean, I'll always say that is her Achilles heel. She sucks with the Rogues Gallery. The Rogues Gallery sucks. I'm sorry. Outside of Ares, the god of war, and the cheetah, they suck. They're just terrible, 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 terrible Rogues Gallery. I mean, it's
Herrenberg says Fausta from the TV series. I don't remember. I actually have the complete DVDs. I got to sit down and watch them because I don't remember. But
I'm sure that is
Baroness Paula Gunther. That's I think who's that's supposed to be. I forgot. She's another one from the 40s. Yeah, the female Nazi lady.
I remember as a kid, the TV show confused me because the first season was in World War II, but the second season was in the 70s.
Yeah, they changed it back and forth.
Yeah,
it didn't really matter. Linda Carter was Wonder Woman. They could have had to do anything, and they had to do anything. And
just jump up and down and catch it. Just have her go apple bobbing or something like that. That's all we need.
Yeah. So now we'll speed run.
Was Wonder Girl.
Speed run to Hal Jordan. It sucked. You had the Invisible Destroyer, the Puppeteer. Sinestro was good. The Weaponeers of Kord were good. Goldface was passable. The original Black Hand, not the Black Hand everybody knows from Jeff Johns, but the original Black Hand sucked. Major Disaster sucked. Oh God, the Warlock of Yiz, I believe his name was. He sucked. They all pretty much sucked.
Did you like the Gentleman Ghost? I like the Gentleman Ghost.
No, Gentleman Ghost was a Hawkman
villain. Hawkman had that one villain. What's his name? That from Thanagar.
Byth.
Right.
Now the original Hawkmans, as done by Gardner Fox, had a really good. You had Byth, you had Shadow Thief, you had the Man Hawk.
Shadow Thief is cool.
The giant hawks wearing a mask that looks like a human's head, and the Matter Wizard, and the rest of them kind of sucked after that. The Atom, you had Kronos, the Bug-Eyed Bandit.
Yeah,
that's all I can remember.
Well, the Atom is so small, he could just fight regular guys.
Exactly.
And usually, if it was Gil Kane, one of those guys had no hair. Like that was a big thug guy. He'd have the guy shave they had now, so they don't have it, but they have the U-shaped hair. Like him and Murphy Anshin, every one of their thugs in suits. They all in suits. Could you imagine running around in dress shoes and suits?
Actually, it's something the Bug-Eyed Bandit. He looked like a bug, if you can remember. He even had like
a bunch of thugs. Like because the Atom was so small, it didn't need any villains. Just fighting normal humans was a problem.
So Green Arrow. Let's go Green Arrow. Green Arrow only has Merlin the Archer. Now post Crisis, you had, I guess, Shadow the Archer. That was from the That's all I know from him.
Well, the big run they had in the 80s that Mike Grell wrote basically never called him Green Arrow for like the whole time. He was not in costume. It was basically like a spy adventure.
Yeah.
Everybody. It was not quite a superhero comic. But he was Green Arrow, and he'd appear on the cover in a costume.
So now we got a bunch of people watching in the chat. Put in the chat who you think has the greatest Rogues Gallery. It's just for fun. Who has the worst Rogues Gallery? And honorable mention has to go to Dick Tracy for creating the whole concept of a Rogues Gallery.
Exactly. Absolutely. Exactly. Now, the Legion of Superheroes has got a great Rogues Gallery. Most of that created by the late, great Jim Shooter.
Yeah.
The Fatal Five, the lot of them. Paul Levitz did a wonderful thing in including Darkseid into it with the Great Darkness Saga. Aquaman had his brother, Ocean Master, the Fisherman, and Black Manta,
Black Manta.
and the Scavenger.
Yeah, he had probably better villains than he should have. Aquaman, Black Manta.
Yeah, Black Manta.
And they were dangerous too. They killed his baby and all that.
Yeah, that was screwed up when they did that. That was David Mazzucchelli that did that. Yeah. That was terrible. Not David Mazzucchelli. Who's the guy that wrote that? Who's the guy that wrote the longest run in 80s Spider-Man? The guy that created Venom.
Oh, David Michelini.
Thank you, David Michelini. Yeah, he's the guy that killed Aqua Baby. Now you have the core, Silver Age Justice Society. For me, in the Golden Age DC, obviously it's Batman, but the Golden Aged Green Lantern, Alan Scott, had a damn good rogues gallery, created by Alfred Bester, who is I don't know how many sci-fi fans are in the chat. He wrote a novel in the 50s called The Demolished Man.
That's right.
One of the greatest sci-fi books I've ever read. And you had Bill Finger there writing a bunch of it too. You had Vandal Savage, you had The Icicle, you had Solomon Grundy, his arch enemy. You know, I'm trying to remember
that is a good rogues gallery. Actually, they still use Solomon Grundy. They use it right now still.
Exactly. So I mean, and even the Justice Society had some good ones. You had the Wizard, the Brainwave, the Psycho Pirate. So I mean, you have
Psycho Pirate is awesome.
Yeah,
you're not talking about Captain Marvel, Shazam, Captain Marvel.
Shazam! My God,
the
Monster Society of Evil, Captain Numsy. Yeah, Black Adam, who only appeared once, but everyone thinks that he was like,
Well, he got banished to the farthest star.
Well, yeah,
Jerry Ordway put him in, used him in the New Origin when he redid it in that trade paperback.
Okay, the Hulk, Heroenberg, the Hulk has a pretty good rogues gallery.
Well, he fight. Yeah, well, every strong character ever connected.
The Hulk, he fought Thunderbolt Ross, the Abomination, the Leader, Zax,
Metal Master,
Tyrannus.
Metal Master, Hulk number
Tyrannus. 8. Yeah, Tyrannus is a good one.
Yeah.
The other thing about the Hulk is, and you're reading them now because it's kind of mind-blowing, is that every super strong character gets to fight the Hulk. He's got the issue with the Juggernaut. He has the issue with what is that? Those guys who I want to say they called them Cain and Abel, but they escaped from the super strong guys that were connected together. They got superpowers. They escaped from the prison.
Hammer and Anvil. They have the chain.
Yeah, Hammer and Anvil. I love Hammer and Anvil. And they have these little racist things going on, because they could do different things in comics back then you can't do now.
How about the Bi Beast? They would never do.
Oh, the Bi Beast is awesome. I mean, these are awesome, crazy characters. If you get it, you don't like it, but if you get into the craziness of it all, how crazy the Hulk character was, comics were, all the way through before Peter David, all the way. Sometimes it's just poignant. Somebody wants to write a poignant story about the Hulk and all that. And he was treated really stupidly in the Defenders. Hulk, first, they never turned to Bruce Banner Defenders. He's calm in all Defenders. They feed him beans. And then he never turns back into Bruce Banner, which makes he's just the Hulk. And he looks stupid the whole time. But in his own comic, not only is he stupid, he gets kind of fierce, Hulk will smash. Hulk gets stronger. It is something I know it's annoying, but they're not meant to be read all at once. Some of these comics are meant to have the 30 days or 60 days in between. They get repetitive if they're not written for the trade. Conan's like that a little too.
Yeah, Conan. I'm familiar with the pulps, not the comics too much, but there is Thothamon. That's pretty much.
Roy Thomas was just adapting so many from the pulps. It's not that much different just for the comic form.
So who won? Who's got? For me, it's obviously Batman. But
as much as I love the Fantastic Four,
deep.
I have to admit it's Batman, and I also have to admit probably Spider-Man as over the Fantastic Four. Personally, it's the Fantastic Four, but I understand Spider-Man and Batman.
I want to say one thing about Marvel. If they created a good villain, even in the 60s, other characters, like the Sandman, not only was a Spider-Man villain, he also was a Fantastic Four villain.
Mhm.
He fought the Thing solo, not just with the Frightful Four. Like Galactus was in Thor. Galactus was in Fantastic. Like they spread it out. That's part of the universe that the great villains got to go against the great heroes. DC really didn't do that until way later.
Right.
Batman was not fighting the Weather Wizard. And the Joker wasn't fighting.
Hulk fought an Absorbing Man who was a Thor villain. Yeah.
Right, a lot. He fought Absorbing Man a lot, or Juggernaut, that one issue.
We got X-Men. We left out X-Men has a great rogues gallery.
Yeah, Juggernaut,
Magneto,
Professor X himself, yeah.
Professor X himself, yeah.
Captain America has kind of a weak one outside of the skull.
Captain America,
Yeah.
Arab Zola, Red Skull.
Yeah.
The Red Skull.
The Red Skull.
He did so much. Fu Manchu. He fought Fu Manchu. The Yellow Claw. I guess they called him the Yellow Claw.
Yeah, the Yellow Claw.
Well, Captain America. If you want to read some comics that are a little cringy, John, try to read early 70s Captain America.
Yeah, I started collecting.
And then, like, Captain America basically fights BLM in 1973. I mean, this was so promoted by the Red Skull. He was promoting divisive. It's like this will happen in real life, except like 30 years later. And it's just like they didn't know what to do. Nobody ever knows what to do with Captain America.
Yeah.
Except for J.M.D. Tomatis, Roger Stern, and John Byrne. Those people know what to do with Captain America. And some of Mark Grunwald, though he was on it too long. But Mark Gruen was pretty lefty, too, if you really read all that. They just don't really know what to do with Captain America. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby knew what to do with him. Have him in battles every episode, like 12-page stories. Fight. Baron Zemo is Captain America.
Baron Zemo, yeah, there's another one. So Harrowberg wants to know who in the original She-Hulk run, she didn't really fight anybody like of importance. Like it was like a lot of regular people, and the Enchantress was her big villain in that series. And then in the John Byrne one, John Byrne's joke was he only used B villains.
Zemo, he used that white Zemo.
Yeah, he used
original
Zemo. He used the Toadmen from Mars or something like that showed up in
Hulk. He brought back the Toadmen. Egg Fu, he brought back. Even if it was a Wonder Woman villain, it did start. He did do something similar for She-Hulk.
That's right, Egg Fu, the worst, lamest villain of all time.
Egg Fu, yeah.
Yeah, created by the late great Robert Kanigher and Ross Andrew, wasn't it?
Ross Andrew, probably.
Yeah.
Well, they worked together forever on that book.
I know the George Perez years they brought back Egg Fu as like a contraption created by Darkseid.
Well,
those I don't know.
Yeah, but
Silver Swan, George Perez created for her.
George, he created Silver Swan.
I think he did.
I always thought that was a reimagination of a.
Well, maybe it was a reimagination, but he did create some villains for her, and of course there was Artemis at the end, that annoying Mark Deodato thing where she wasn't Wonder Woman.
I remember about the George Perez run. He created a character called Decay.
Right,
like this really gross woman that would like rock.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, she was somehow related to Ares.
And then he also created Phobos and Deimos.
Yep.
And I think Deimos died, but Phobos was still around, or something like that. It's been a while since I've read those.
Is Egg Fu worse than Pace Poppy? Yes.
I will not. There was no criticizing Pace Poppy. He became a trapster anyway.
Harrowberg, you're in the wrong room, buddy.
Pace Poppy was awesome.
I don't know how Tony feels, but I know Marcus and I love Pace Pot Pete.
Well, that one where they used Pace Poppy, that's like the worst comics of the Marvel Silver Age are those Human Torch comics and those Giant Man stories. Those were just
the Trapster. I thought he had a really cool costume as the Trapster. That's.
I'll say this: I have a Pace Pot Pete homage character coming up, probably in Patreon.
Just the fact that they decided they had some really crazy villains that they fought, but like some guy, his paintings came to life. the Human Torch story. They wanted to push the Human Torch so badly to be a popular character that they gave him a solo series, you know. And I was that in
Strange Tales.
Strange Tales, and he was bad. They didn't know what to do with him. And then Stan other writers on him. Like the original Thor is pretty bad too. I like them because it's kind of like just early, like they're just trying to figure out Thor. It took them over a year to figure out Thor.
All I remember is the Asbestos Man because he had that really cool like gas mask and stuff.
Came out with that stuff was. I mean, he had a girlfriend. He was melting cars. I mean, it was all
Doris Evans.
Doris Evans, and they had to bring a thing in. It was so they didn't know what to do with it.
He lived in Connecticut, and he went to Central High School.
He got replaced. He got replaced by Nick Fury, and then Doctor Strange did start in those comics. So, you know,
I would say for weakest one, it would be a tie between Wonder Woman and the Atom. I think that those are pretty cool. You know, as for the greatest, I would say it would be Batman, Spider-Man, the Flash, and the X-Men. You know, those would be the best with special, like John said, special notation for Dick Tracy up there on the top there, and that would be it.
Thor has a pretty good rogues gallery too.
Oh well, Thor gets to fight. Yeah.
High Evolutionary, Loki, Ragnarok,
Galactus.
So I'm thinking when I'm thinking rogues gallery, I mean.
Galactus is not really a villain.
Myself, so I take back what I was because Kingpin is a Daredevil villain, even though he debuted in Spider-Man. But like High Evolutionary, he debuted in Thor, right? So,
yes,
but I kind of consider him more like a Fantastic Four villain, even though he's originally.
Well, it's like him, Adam Warlock created in Fantastic Four '66, but they had a big fight with Thor, like. Whatever powerful characters Stan and Jack created with the Wrecker was a big one for they had the Absorbing Man, the Loki powered characters.
You notice that we never brought up the Avengers.
The Masters of Evil? That's all I know. The Masters of Evil, Ultron.
Ultron, the Masters of Evil, Atuma they fought early on. That was a big Kang.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the ones that they did have were big deals. Kang, the Masters of Evil, you know, Ultron.
Kang was a weird one. Kang had a lot of potential, but he never reached it. Because I love that thing Stan Lee was doing. He was Rama Tut, then he became Kang, then he was the Scarlet Centurion, then he was Immortus.
But in the early 70s, they had that big crossover between Giant Size Avengers and Avengers back and forth. And it was one of the few things where the art actually in the final was a groundbreaking comic, and it was rushed, and the art was terrible, but you still wanted to read it. They got to fight their Red Skull and all that. And, you know, when all the villains got together, you know, they had to fight them. They're just, you know, Doctor Doom ends up to fight the Avengers because that's the way it goes, or they go off Nebula, Thanos, at different times. Thanos' daughter.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. So what do you guys want to do next week? What do you think is a good Clobbering time for next week?
I like these
best horror comic.
What? You both were talking
like horror. What's the best horror comic? What about that? Have you ever talked about horror?
Well, next week's going to be Halloween, so
yeah, it's Halloween. So yeah, a good Halloween theme. That's a good. Yeah.
You could mention Tales from the Crypt or. You know, any of that stuff, yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, I think that's a pretty good, you know, Halloween comics.
Okay,
Halloween theme or horror theme.
What's your favorite? Your favorite horror comic?
I told you the first comic my mom ever bought me stupidly was.
Don't talking about it until it's.
That way, well, I might not be here next week. I'll see it. It's going to be in flux. Because I might be like I can't keep the world awake.
Oh, I might. Yeah. Okay. All right. You also forgot Iron Man has a good Mandarin, Fin Fang Boom, Madam Mask, Crips of Dynamo. Yeah.
Well, the problem with Iron Man is Madam Mask ends up sleeping with some of his villains. You know.
John, are you going to do next week? Are you going to wear the Odin helmet?
Maybe.
Odin?
It's right there, maybe.
It'll make you hot though on stream.
Well, I already am hot, but so we're gonna close down because I got to go to sleep, guys. I'm sorry.
I understand.
I'm sure Marcus is dying. I forget, Tony. What time is it over there for you?
It is 12 in the morning.
Okay.
So it's late there too.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, remember, Heroic Tales 2 is imminent. It's imminent. I got the proofs.
You can still order it.
You can still order it. I just sold a bunch of work today, believe it or not.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And it's, you know what I do? I take the cash, I put it in my wallet, and then from my checking account, I put that money in my comic book account. You know what I mean? Because
that's good.
I don't spend that money, you know.
Yeah.
You know, because I want it to be comic book allocated for comic book money. And then I just got, I mean, I was talking about this, Tony, before you came on, but I was asking Renzo, I said, you know, the Patriarch is 45 pages long. When do you think you could be done? And he said early next year. And I took that as, oh, geez, it's going to be like 10 months, you know, early next. I don't know why I just misinterpreted it. So I was like, oh, man. So I was talking to Tonic Ball and Oscar and the people that I got working on secret projects. Like, you think we can speed it up? I don't want to wait another year before making a comic. And then Oscar asked Renzo, because they're friends. Like, you know, Sean says you're not going to be able to do it for a year. What are you doing? He goes, no, early next year, like February. I was like, oh my God. So I was asking everybody at work today, am I an idiot? And like, yeah, you're kind of an idiot because, you know, early next year means January, February. So because Renzo is done with all of his obligations. He has nothing but Patriarch to work on starting next week.
You're going to give him a raise, John.
Yeah. So you guys got to give him a raise. You got to buy the book, you know, and
I do buy the books.
It's 45 pages of story. I want to do an article written by Regina Lopez about some the political situation that's going to be dealt with because of the comic. And then I kind of want to do a pamphlet of Welcome to Science City, you know. So I got to talk to Renzo because he used to do like city art, like that was his career before comics, doing like city planning and stuff like that, art for. So you know he's good with buildings and everything. So I got to ask him if he wants to do that. But there you go. And then he already has the script for Heroic Tales 3. And then so I want him to do the Patriarch. We're going to do Heroic Tales 3. And then I'm hoping Heroic Tales 4 could be like maybe Marcus or Luke Stone or
somebody gets finished. Well, that's still,
you know what I mean? I got a
possibility because it's down the line. So
that's what I'm hoping Heroic Tales 4, because that'll free up Renzo to do the Santa Claus book.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's the schedule. The Santa Claus book, I'm really, I do rewrites and everything like that, but I just threw out the script and started over again because I came up with a good scene. I want that to be the book that everybody goes, yeah, I don't like that Long Box guy. He's a jerk, but this is a good comic.
Are you going to release it in December?
That's the goal. That's I would like to launch the campaign in December, and I say December because I don't know, or ship it in, you know, so that people get it in December. Yeah, the Patriarch has to decide whether to support the suit or an even worse villain. That's a good idea. Wait till you find, like, you thought like the suit was bad in issue 1. Wait till you find out what he does now, 20 years later. He's a piece of crap. You know, he represents all politicians, and you know how I feel about politicians. But Marcus, anything you want to say? Anything you want to promote before we go?
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm on the studio tomorrow. We're going to have Mark Polton and Chris Graves. So we'll be drawing Wraith and Pain.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if did you back the? I didn't remember.
Yeah, Wraith and Pain is my favorite thing that Mark Polton
did. Oh, that's nice. Good to know.
Wraith and Pain it's drawn like a well-drawn Image comic, but it's actually well written.
It looks fun. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I have to try to beat out the other guys because Don.
Well, you're an extreme artist, and it
keeps insulting us. Backhanded insults by Don. So someday I'll tell you, it's crazy. And so that'll be 7:00 tomorrow. If everybody wants to watch us draw and BS for a couple hours.
Tell Mark I said hello.
We're usually on. We'll be on longer than their guests. The guests will maybe be on a couple hours.
Yeah.
2, 3
And Tony,
hours.
anything you want to say? Anything you want to promote?
Buy Heroic Tales, everyone.
There
Everyone
you
buy Heroic Tales.
Tony's gonna have his own comic book soon.
One of these days. One of these
Hey,
days.
Tony, go tell Liz to go buy some of my comic books.
Sure will.
Tell her I have maybe in Heroic Tales 6 there might be a character inspired by her.
Yeah, okay, I'll say it.
The character's name is going to be Zenith if I ever get to it, so she'll
Mm-hmm.
know. But anyway,
All right. Good night, everybody. Good morning.
See you guys, and I guess at this point I say goodbye. Kid, like, subscribe, super chat, all of the silly stuff that we're supposed to say at YouTube. But goodbye, kids.
Goodbye, kids.